Hi everyone, this is Navila Zaman, and today this is the third lesson of transporting humans, and this is an extremely important chapter in O-level biology. So let's get started. Now let's talk about double circulation. So double circulation is when the blood passes to the heart twice. So the deoxygenated blood from the organs throughout the entire body, it goes through the vena cava, as you can see in the video. I'm sorry, in the diagram, to the heart, which then goes to the lungs to become oxygenated through the pulmonary artery. And after that, oxygenated blood comes back to the heart and it is pushed through the aorta, the red blood vessel that you can see, to go to the different parts of the body. And because the blood passes to the heart twice in one single circulation, this is known as double circulation. Now, to understand this diagram, you have to know that the heart is labeled as if it was on the chest. So what is actually left on the diagram is actually on the right hand side and vice versa. So what happens is the deoxygenated blood from all the parts of the body, for example, our hands, our legs, are going to the heart through the vena cava, as you can see labeled on the diagram. So it goes through the vena cava to the right atrium. Again, it is labeled on the diagram. So just focus on the diagram really carefully and listen to my words. So the deoxygenated blood goes through the vena cava to the right atrium, and then from the right atrium, this right heart valve is actually called the tricuspid valve. So through the tricuspid valve, it then goes to the right ventricle, as you can see, and from the right ventricle it goes to through the pulmonary artery to one side of the lungs, where it gets oxygenated, and from there the oxygenated blood, it comes back to the heart through the pulmonary vein. As you can see in this diagram, the pulmonary vein is where the oxygenated blood from the lungs comes to the heart, and it goes to the left atrium, and this left heart valve is known as the bicuspid valve, so remember that. And from the left atrium the blood goes to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle the pressure sort of builds, and the oxygenated blood goes through all the parts of the body through the aorta, as you can see in the diagram, with a lot of pressure so that it can really pass on to every part of the body. So to summarize, the deoxygenated blood from all the different parts of the body goes to the heart by the vena cava, and it goes to the right atrium, then it goes to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle through the pulmonary artery, the deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs, and from the lungs the deoxygenated blood becomes oxidized, and the oxygenated blood comes back to the heart by the pulmonary vein to the left atrium, and then through the bicuspid valve it goes to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it goes to all the parts of the body through the aorta. So this is basically how the blood works, and now we are going to focus more in the cardiac cycle. So this is the ventricular diastole and ventricular systole. So diastole basically means filling, and systole means pumping. So let's try to understand this. So basically, what happens is that through the vena cava, the deoxygenated blood has come to the heart, and then the deoxygenated blood has to go to the ventricle. But how does it go? So basically the ventricles sort of relax, and the the atrium contracts, and so that and it exerts the pressure on the ventricle, and so the blood goes from the atrium to the ventricles. And in ventricular diastole, basically what happens is the valves, as you can see, the tricuspid and the bicuspid valve basically opens so that it can let the blood from the atrium to the ventricle, but the semilunar valves, as you can see, they remain closed so that the blood does not go to the artery yet. And after that, when the blood has all come down to the ventricle, The bicuspid and the tricuspid valve become closed, as you can see in ventricular systole. They become closed so that when the blood is going through the semilunar valve to the lungs and to the rest of the body, it does not go back to the atrium because that would be a waste, right? So in ventricular systole, you can see that the ventricles are contracting and the atrium is relaxing, and basically the blood from from the ventricles, they go through the aorta and the pulmonary artery through the semilunar valves. So in ventricular diastole, the semilunar valves are closed, but the bicuspid and the tricuspid valves are open, and in ventricular systole, the semilunar valves are open so that it can pass through the artery and the pulmonary artery, but the bicuspid and the tricuspid valves are closed. And that is all about the cardiac cycle. So basically, a diastole and a systole together makes up one single heartbeat of the heart. And this is why this is known as double circulation, as we learned in the first slide, because it involves having to go through the heart twice with the same blood. So that is it for this video, and we have like finished this chapter. So I really hope that this was helpful to you. I will hopefully also upload a video on question solving so that you can know what kind of questions come in the exam. And if this was helpful to you, make sure to share this video with your friends as well so that they can be benefited from this. And so stay tuned. Bye.